Hello, hello, blissful parents. Michelle Abraham, your host here today. And have I got a treat for you today? I've got one of my dear friends here with us today, Kelly Falardeau. Kelly, how you doing?
I'm great. Thank you.
Good. Well, let me just share with our audience a little bit more about you, Kelly. So, Kelly is a burn survivor since the age of 2. She had 75% of her body was burned. She found a way to go from a near death to success, from the ugly Scarface girl to the TEDx stage twice, Fierce Woman of the Year, and 7 times best-selling author. She was also the recipient of the Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal and YWCA Women of Distinction Award. A documentary about her life story called Still Beautiful launched on TV Plus Goldcast launched a video that has over 10 million views. She's now a full-time best-selling author coach and strategist and helping people become best-selling authors. In 2021, she was also nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year. Kelly, my goodness. Today, we want to talk a little bit about a movement you've created, which is called Ugly is Always Beautiful. And Kelly and I have worked on some projects together in the NFT space on Ugly is Always Beautiful. And so just start there with us. Tell us exactly, what does the Ugly acronym stand for?
Thank you, Michelle. So, it's interesting because I was wanting to do a TEDx talk.
Mhm.
And so one of the theme for that TEDx talk was unprovable or unsolvable problems. And I thought, that's interesting because, my message is all about, we're beautiful no matter what we look like. And I thought, people create acronyms all the time. And ugly is just 4 letters. There's got to be a way of creating an acronym for it and making it into a beautiful word. And so the ugly stands for the unique, gorgeous, lovable you is always beautiful.
That's awesome. That's such a good acronym. And I love the way how it just plays so beautifully. And in fact, you and I both have t-shirts that say that on it. And it's very cool. That's awesome. So what do you hope by sharing with our parents today, Kelly? What do you hope the message that comes across in our conversation today?
Well, I know, moms and teens are being bombarded with messages about how they're not pretty enough, they're not smart enough, they're not skinny enough, they're not, flawless enough, right? Like they're just not enough. And so my message is that we are more than enough and that we don't have to be flawless. We don't have to be perfect in order to be beautiful. And so that's what I really want people to understand is that you can have freckles and still be gorgeous, right? You can have scars like me and still be gorgeous, right? Like we're just so hard on ourselves and we judge ourselves so harshly. And so, I just want people to understand that you don't have to be flawless or perfect.
That's such a good message. And so how do we navigate the media around this and the social media and the pressures of everything? And I think, boys too, but especially girls, like are just bombarded by so much negativity and and images that are not realistic. And so how do we kind of like protect our girls from that, but also encourage them from the inside out to really be the person they're meant to be?
Well, I think a lot of it is education.
Hmm.
We have to realize that, 99% of those pictures that are on social media or in the newspaper or on TV, uh, they're photoshopped. And that's not what they really look like. You know? And so what's happening is that you have a group of girls that are trying to look like those models in the magazine that have been photoshopped, which means it's fake.
Mm.
Right? So they're trying to accomplish this fake level of beauty that doesn't exist.
Right. I remember like as a girl, like playing with Barbie dolls and things like that. And then I remember seeing statistics later on, like if Barbie was actually like a real person, like she would not be able to actually stand up because of her dimensions that they've created her in, which is so crazy, right? Like,
Yeah, her legs are just so long and
legs
her
are so
body
long,
is
her
so
waist
short.
is too small, and her boobs are too big.
Yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
exactly.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the media is not really friendly to that. And I think yeah, I think you're right educating our kids that it's not true. It's not real. Those pictures are photoshopped and made to clear all the blemishes and clear up all the cellulite and all that kind of stuff that comes with comes with clearing up pictures, right? Yeah, it's got to be hard, I think, for girls and boys too. I just think the media sets them up for failure right from the start by showing so many images and so many things that are just not realistic.
Well, and it's interesting because I wanted to know why. Like, how did this all happen? Like, how did we learn this? And we learn this from two places. One is we learn from our moms.
Mm,
So if our moms are in the mirror and if they're picking on themselves and saying, "Oh, I'm not beautiful or I'm ugly or whatever," their daughters are seeing that. And what do you mean, mom? You're beautiful. And then they're saying, "My mom doesn't think she's beautiful. What am I?" Right? The
mhm,
second place it comes is we watched Snow White. Do
mm.
you remember, Michelle, the age you watched Snow White for the first time?
Oh my gosh, I must have been around 5 or so. Yeah, maybe
Right.
even younger. Yeah.
Maybe even younger, right? Probably 4, 5, 6 years old. Well, I did some research. I wanted to find out at what age do people watch Snow White.
Mhm.
And it was right around the 4 to 6 years old is when people watch Snow White. Now, what's the problem with Snow White? Well, in
Mirror,
Snow
mirror
White,
on the wall is the biggest fabulous lie.
exactly, exactly. And we see the evil queen talking to the mirror, and the mirror has this big face coming out,
Mhm.
and the mirror talks back. And so we learn when we're 3, 4, 5 years old that the mirror talks. And so when we look in the mirror,
Mhm.
what do we hear? We hear the mirror talking to us, right?
Mhm.
And it's our voice, it's our own head, right?
Mhm.
It's not the mirror saying anything to us. It's the mirror, it's our voice that is saying, "Oh, I'm so ugly," or "Look at that big nose I've got," or "Look at the wrinkles I've got,"
Mhm.
or, "My teeth are crazy," or, you know, I would look in the mirror and I would say, "Yuck, who's gonna love that?" Right? I'm covered in scars, and my scars as a child were a lot more prominent than they are now.
Mhm.
But, I'd look at my ear and I would think, well, who's going to love me? I've got an ugly ear, right? Who's going to love me? I'm missing a nipple. My chest is covered in scars, my back, my arms, everywhere. And so when I looked in the mirror, I would think, nobody's going to love me because I'm not perfect. I'm certainly not beautiful,
Mhm.
right? So,
How did you do it, Kelly? How did you reprogram your own conditioning that you were hearing from yourself and from others as a child?
and that's a great question, Michelle, because I still remember, I think I was in my 40s at that time, and I looked in the mirror and I said, I'm done feeling like the ugly girl. We had just gone to a garage sale, me and my former husband, and a lady said to me, they couldn't do better than that. And
Mm.
what she meant was, how come they couldn't do some sort of surgery on you and take your scars away and you'd be beautiful, right? What she didn't know is about all the surgeries I did have up until I was 20 years old and all of that stuff. Like she didn't know how many surgeries I had. Like I was doing everything. The only thing I wasn't doing was wearing makeup because I just don't like makeup. So after that, I said, why am I letting a complete stranger take my power away?
Right.
Like I'm never going to see her again. Why am I letting her take my power away? So, anyways, I went in the mirror and I made sure nobody was home, not my kids, not my husband, locked the bedroom door. And instead of saying, I am beautiful, because if
Mhm.
I said I am beautiful when I looked in the mirror, my mirror would say, no, you're not. Beautiful women don't have scars. So I would say, I happen to love my big, beautiful green eyes.
Mhm.
And my ego didn't say anything because it's true. I believe it, right? I
Mhm.
believe I have big, beautiful green eyes. Then I looked at my nose. I turned to the side. And said, oh my God, I love my cute little nose. And
Mhm.
again, my ego didn't say anything because I believe it. And
Mhm.
then I looked at my ear and I said, oh, I happen to love my cute little ear. It makes me special. It makes me different. It makes me unique. And again, I didn't hear that voice. And then I turned around and looked at my butt because I was wearing my favorite jeans. And I said, oh my God, I love my cute little hot bum. And again, I wasn't bragging about myself. I was learning to embrace myself and embrace all the good things about me. And that was my turning point. The next time I looked in the mirror, I didn't see the ugly scars. I started to see all the things I loved about me.
I love that so much. So us as moms, as our little girls are around us, as we're coming out of the shower or getting changed, or even our boys, start saying things nice about yourself instead of like, oh, these jeans don't fit, or oh, this looks horrible. I think that would really help for the kids to hear you love on yourself too, right? Like, oh, I love my hair like this, or I love these earrings, or I love how this looks. Like, I think that would be such a great, powerful thing for our kids to hear ourselves say.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. We have to love on ourselves more than pick out the things we don't like. And people say to me, well, why is it so hard? And it's hard because when we look in the mirror, we usually want to pick out all the things we hate about ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the first thing we do is inspect our body and we go, okay, well, oh, look at those bags under my eyes or look at the wrinkles, right? Instead, let's pick out the things we love about ourselves.
Yeah, we're conditioned to look for what's wrong, right? Or what's not right, right? Got to change that lens we look through. My goodness. Yeah, it's interesting. I worked in the fitness industry for about 10 years, and just the amount of negative self-talk I heard, it honestly took a toll on my own
Mm.
self-esteem and my own body image and my own stuff. Like, wow, if those ladies are saying that about themselves, like I should be saying that about myself too. And it was that compare-itis. It was very toxic. It was incredibly toxic. So removing myself from that, all that negativity, all that wrong body image talk it was much more freeing.
Right, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and now I have a group of girl guides that I am a leader for. And so, my daughter is one of them, and just, encouraging them to just be uniquely themselves and be the best version of themselves without comparing, without, commenting on others' looks, on others' clothes or things like that. And it's interesting because I think we're actually conditioned to think, oh, I love your outfit, or I love, your hair today. Like, we're conditioned to comment on those things. It's really hard not to. Do you have any suggestions for people, like, who are, you want to be complimentary, but you want to also stay away from, like, just commenting on the physical side of things.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it seems to be that's the way it is, where even in politics,
Hmm.
we're always commenting on what women are wearing or what they're looking like, and men we comment about other things like that, but or a different thing. Um, I think that's a tough question.
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing about that though is just to receive it.
Hmm.
I do an exercise when I speak on stage, and what I do is I get people to get up and give each other compliments.
Hmm.
And I can feel the energy of the room go down when I ask them to do it. And the reason it goes down is not that they don't want to give the compliment, it's that they don't want to receive a compliment.
Interesting, right? And are you coaching
Because
them to,
people are
like,
always awkward.
yeah,
Yeah,
go
people
ahead.
always feel awkward when someone wants to say something good about them.
Right.
So I just believe giving out any kind of compliment
Hmm.
is a great thing to do.
Hmm.
Because sometimes, you see somebody and you don't know them well enough to go any deeper than, hey, you know what? I love those shoes you're wearing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even just giving out that compliment makes you feel good and the receiver feel good, right?
Right.
But all you have to do is just say thank you. That's
Yeah.
all you really need to do, right?
I
So,
heard something the other day, like when you don't receive well, like when you're like, oh, no, 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 I don't have the nice hair today or whatever. If you're not receiving, you're robbing that person of the gift of giving the compliment. So receive gracefully, receive it with a thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a
yeah,
great thing to
exactly.
do. How do we
Yeah,
teach our
because
kids to receive receive compliments or receive in a way that's like, feels good to them and not awkward, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's because a lot of times people feel like if somebody compliments them, they have to say something back, and it has to be more than just a thank you. But it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be. It can just be simple as, thank you. I really appreciate that. You know,
Yeah.
I remember giving a compliment to this lady. She was like so well put together.
Hmm.
She was like, when she walked in the room, you saw that she was the power in the room.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? Do you ever look amazing? And she's like, you know what? Thank you, because I really don't feel it.
Wow. Yeah. Some of those most put together people have the biggest insecurities, right? Interesting.
Exactly. But yeah, there was stuff going on in her life that, wasn't making her feel very good. And so just that little gift that I gave her made her feel better about herself. And so I believe you should just give any kind of a compliment.
Yeah, I was listening to a friend the other day share something on social media how she'd had a really rough day and she was serving and she had this customer say this horrible thing and that person say that horrible thing and then this one lady came up and just said you're doing an amazing job. Good job. You're doing great. And she just broke down in tears because she just heard the opposite all day long and just didn't feel like she was doing very good. So
Yeah,
sometimes, just those little compliments can really change someone's whole day and whole mindset around themselves too, which is cool. So Kelly,
exactly.
tell us a little bit more about the movement you're creating with Ugly is Always Beautiful. Do you have some things coming up, or what are your plans for it?
Well, we're starting up a nonprofit for it.
Hmm.
And so we're also doing an NFT project that goes with it. And we're going to have t-shirts that say ugly on them. But they'll also explain what the acronym is because some people don't want to wear ugly.
Right.
But when I explain what it is, they're like, oh my God, yeah, that makes so much sense. I love it. Okay, I'll wear that. Right. So we want to do like conferences and just events that are going to empower, you know, moms and teenagers and well, just people in general, right? Like I have a hard time just saying, people, but I know moms need a lot of help,
Mm,
right? Like I'm a single mom, and so I know what it's like, raising three kids, and we look to our moms.
hmm.
We look to our moms about our beauty and our self-esteem, and so I really want to help empower all people, really, but specifically moms and teenagers to help them to understand that they are loved. I really believe too that we are forgetting about our boys. And I had a daughter and two boys. And so, we also need to develop healthy self-esteem and healthy love for our boys, right? Like they need to feel empowered also. So we're going to develop some programs around that too. So to help them all.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's interesting how, it's gonna start with us as moms and dads and um I remember watching one of my friends growing up where her mom was always on her about like you shouldn't eat this or you're gonna get too chubby or this is gonna and she struggled with her weight her whole life. And I was like, if her mom had just not been at her constantly with those kind of things, she would have had such a much better self-image about her weight or about her looks about that. But she was so self-conscious because of this was always going on in the background of things that her mom was always saying to her. And it's like, oh my gosh. And now I see her saying it to her own daughter. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, gotta stop that pattern of like beating ourselves up over things. We really need to you know, love ourselves, like you said, look in the mirror, love all those cute things about us, love those
Yeah.
big, beautiful eyes and those cute ears and noses. And so I love that exercise that you did, just standing there and going from top to bottom, loving every part of you.
Yeah, and I think part of the problem too is that a lot of people will say you have to love all of yourself in order to love yourself. And I have a hard time with that because, one time I didn't like my lip. It was big. I hated how big it was, right? I didn't like my ear. I wouldn't even put my hair up when I was a kid. And so when you're saying to people, you have to love all of you or you can't love yourself, that to me is such um, an unbelievable message, right? So I really believe if you learn to love your little parts,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll learn to love yourself. And it's okay to not like a certain body part on
Mm-hmm.
yourself, right? So, yeah, I think that's the deeper message that I want to share with people is that you can still be beautiful even if you don't love every single part of your body.
Mm-hmm. You can still love yourself without having to love every single part.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Kelly, thank you so much. Make sure you keep us in touch with us how things are coming along and where can we find out more information about what you're up to?
Yeah, so you can just go to my website, kellyfalardeau.com. And there's some videos there. YouTube, I've got some YouTube videos there too. And if you're in Canada, you can go to ami.ca and watch the Still Beautiful documentary. And that's where they did a whole documentary about my life story.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah, they even recreated my accident of me getting burnt as a 2-year-old. And they follow me right from, school and hospital surgeries and stuff like that, and then follow me right up to speaking to a group of 3,000 teenagers. So it's pretty
Wow,
cool.
that's so cool. And
Yeah.
also you have the Gold Cast and the TED Talk available for people to watch online too, right? You can find out
Yeah.
the links to those from your website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly, for being so inspirational and sharing your wonderful message with us today. Blissful Parents, make sure you go check out Kelly's website, which is kellyfalardeau.com. And it's FALARDEAU. So make sure you spell it correctly. And we will see you next week. And until next time, go out there and have a blissful week.